And we are live. Good evening. Welcome to the Barbershop. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. You're watching the Barbershop on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Radio. This is Going Bold Wednesdays on the Going Bold Network. ASMR Squishy Bowl for you? Is that what the TikTok saying? Welcome, my TikTok friends as well. Tonight, we are talking about TikTok specifically and how it is not a dating app, and specifically about how we use social media as dating apps, and we shouldn't. And I'm not asking your opinion on this. I'm telling you what the fact is. No, I'm kidding. Of course, we welcome comments. I hope people didn't just log off. We welcome comments. We would like to hear what you have to say about your experiences on social media, your experiences on dating apps. Have they been similar? Have they been different? So this show is, of course, brought to you by the Going Solo Network. It's brought to you by Bold Magazine, Fabi Plus Magazine, which are the two magazines that I own, as well as Strutter Magazine. It's brought to you by That Professor Life Coaching as well. What's going on with me? A lot of great stuff going on with me. Teaching's great. Book just came out. Check my Shoreby. You can see it right on the link there. It's right on Amazon and a bunch of other different places. So please do buy the book. Relationships going really well. This house is beautiful, wonderful disaster that I'm working on every single day. So life is going okay. The network's doing great. We need your support as always. Please continue to log in. Please continue to talk to us. If you have an idea for a show, come on, be a guest. We'll have some fun. And if you want to be a recurring guest, that's even better. And if you want to host a show after that, that's even better. We love to bring in experts who know a thing or two about a thing or two. Before every show, I like to just do a quick moment of silence or prayer. I pray. It doesn't mean you have to pray. You could just do a quick moment of silence. Put some positive energy out into the world, and I'm going to do that right now. As simple as that. You don't need to do anything more than just send some positive energy out into the world. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about how TikTok and social media apps are not dating apps. Fight me about it. So, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So somebody just said, Latifah said, I will pray. I appreciate that for sure. So fight me about it. Here's the thing. And feel free to comment on TikTok, comment on YouTube, comment on Facebook. We love all of your comments. How did this come about? Well, this came about for me because as I have found myself, and is this too much light? Can you not see me? Hold on one sec. ADHD is really getting in the way. Hold on one sec. Is this okay? Oh no, now you can't see me at all, right? We don't want that. So we'll have to do the ring light. Maybe we just back. Oh, you know what? We can lower it. Hold on. Give me a second. Let's lower this thing. There we go. Aha! I'm totally getting it, right? What's up, Diamonds and Diesel? How's it going? So we're talking about how TikTok is not a dating app. So how did this come about? Well, I put out some content recently, and I put it out a lot, and I talked a lot about how, when people find out that either I'm not single or I'm not interested in dating them, they'll unfollow me, they'll block me, they won't like my content, that kind of stuff. And this also came from, we had a conversation about this. I had this conversation with my partner about how, she finds that people, when she doesn't give people the flirty flirts back in their DMs or on their comments, that they're not interested in her. And her message is very much about body positivity and fashion. And same thing with, my message is about life coaching and changing up your life and doing better things for yourself. Now, yeah, do I put out dating content? Yes, because I'm a dating and relationship coach as well. But, I do find that when I don't flirt back with folks, I do lose a follower or two here and there. That kind of stuff. Oh, way better. It's Elena's choice. Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Elena. I appreciate that. So we're going to talk a bit about how TikTok is not a dating app, and I'm going to give you some of my experiences because, to be quite honest, I've used TikTok in that fashion. I used Instagram in that fashion. One of the biggest criticisms of me years ago, when my brands were growing, was that I was using Instagram to find dates. And, to be honest, I felt like I was a bit of a pioneer back then. I thought I was doing things that were a little bit unique. Nobody was doing it back then. Right now, everyone's kind of doing it. Kind of stole my thunder. I'm kidding. I swear to God, I'm kidding. Please do not cancel me again. I met my fiance, my ex-fiance on Instagram. I met a very prominent, my celebrity crush on TikTok. I mean, these are the things. I date somebody currently who I met on TikTok. So is this a product of these conversations and these behaviors? Yes, absolutely. But I don't know that they should be used as such, right? So let's talk about that. Let's get into the beef of things. I want to talk about the three movies, as I always do, bring up three movies that kind of correlate with the topic. So the first movie is He's Just Not That Into You. Older movie. It's not an old movie by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a line in there where Drew Barrymore is basically saying, look, you hit on a guy, and now you've got to check all your social media to see if he rejected you or not. You've got to check your cell phone, your MySpace. Now, back then, I don't even think they had Facebook. So your cell phone, your email, your MySpace, just to see if he's rejected you or not, right? And I thought that was kind of a funny thing to say. Not really much about social media, but I thought that was interesting. The second movie we're going to talk about is You've Got Mail, back in the day, the email correspondence on the dating site, right? Basically, Sleepless in Seattle, but digital, right? With Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. Great movie. Awesome movie for sure. And then the last movie, of course, that we have to bring up when we're talking about social media and dating, or social media and using it as a dating site, is going to be Catfish, right? If you have not seen the movie Catfish, I mean, Catfish is definitely, the TV show as well, but the movie is creepy as heck. And I think they make it creepy. They mean to make it creepy, right? That's kind of the thing. But in the movie Catfish, there's a lot that goes on with Neve and how he's kind of fed this information, and it's not the right information, and he goes to meet the person, and the person's not the person. But this all starts with a Facebook interaction, because somebody was using Facebook as the as a dating site. Diamonds and Diesel says, I haven't seen any of those, LOL. You should at the very least check out Catfish. Catfish it's an interesting movie. It definitely sets up the TV show. I don't know what the level of realness was. I think actually the Catfish and Neve remained friends, or they became friends after that. I don't quite remember the details, but it was definitely an interesting experience. So what's been my experience with dating and using social media? So as I mentioned, I definitely used social media for sure as a way to land a date. It was without a doubt, it was a lot more fun for me, and I'm speaking from experience. And if you agree with this or disagree with this, let me know. It was a lot more fun for me to find somebody cool on social media than it was to find on a dating app. And I'm going to talk about this, and I think this is why a lot of people do like social media as a way to find a date, is because they're going to find people with similar interests, number one. Number two is, I don't know, there was something cool about, matching with someone on Instagram, and it's not really meant for that. So it's like, not only do you like me, but you like me enough to go on a date with me, and we met on Instagram versus going on a dating app. So it's kind of like, an accomplishment that somebody would like me enough on a social media app to go on a date with me. What I think we're seeing, though, so much over the past year or two since the pandemic, right, is that people are really getting into social media and using it by far to meet a date, to meet people romantically. They're specifically putting out content with regard to, with their singleness or that kind of stuff. Diamonds and Diesel says, that has a lot to do with your algorithm. It helps match you with like-minded folks, unlike a dating app. Yeah, I agree with that. So now people are starting to put on their profiles, single, monogamous, poly, not single, taken, married, exploring, LGBTQ, all these great things. Well, I mean, LGBTQ is more of a designation than just a dating thing. So we'll take that off the list. But, what I'm trying to say is that people are starting to really use their profiles as almost like a dating profile. And I'm here to say I don't think it's right. I think it's wrong. And as somebody who has emotionally profited from that system and has emotionally profited from using social media as a way to find a date, I think it's wrong. And I think that, of course, it's easy for me to say because I have my person and that's cool and that's great. But, as you may know about me, I'm also ethically non-monogamous, so the door's never open or closed. And I think it's important to take note of, right? Now, there's a difference, I think, also that we need to designate tonight with using social media to find a date, right? And being single and using it and blah, 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 versus happening upon someone on social media. Perhaps you are already friends with someone for some time and then deciding, hey, this could be a person that I might want to date. right? So that could be something cool. So Diamonds in Dallas says, primarily this is to share our personalities, lives, and network. I agree. I think it's wrong. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And feel free to throw some comments in the chat bar, and we'll kind of see how things are going, and would love to hear from you. So what's interesting is when I put a lot of this information into Google to do some searching, to do some kind of research on this stuff, I didn't find a lot of information on statistics, folks who have met on social media apps and stuff like that. Here's what I found. I'm going to read you some of the websites, okay, that are relevant, right? 6 ways of using Facebook to get and keep a date. Dating advice on the 9 do's and don'ts of using social media. 4 easy ways to use social media to meet women online. How do I turn a social media crush into a date? Like, these are what we're kind of seeing, right? 14 ways to date and flirt on Instagram, the cyber dating expert. So now, I've got to bring that up because so Instagram is definitely my poison, right? My drink of choice when I was, interested in somebody online. Back then it wasn't TikTok, and we didn't even have TikTok. And, I was kind of bigger on Instagram and enjoyed Instagram. The other part of that is for me specifically, I was able to, talk to like-minded people who I knew had valid profiles because I had a lot of followers. They might have a lot of followers, and we can kind of, we kind of knew friends of friends and that kind of stuff. And I'm sure I benefited from the fact that I had a lot of followers and people thought that was impressive, which I think is quite honestly the stupidest thing. I mean, I'm a doctor. Like, maybe you should find that more impressive than the fact that I have 40,000 Instagram followers. I'm an author. I cook a damn good lasagna. That is, my lasagna is worth way more than 40,000 followers. Bottom line, my charcuterie board is even better. So Diamonds and Diesel says, primarily this is the show. Okay, I've already read that one. So here are the 14 tips. I'm going to read through a couple of them, which I love. How to find, what is the headline? 14 ways to date and flirt on Instagram, which we love. Okay. Make sure your Instagram profile is public so people can follow you. State in your bio that you're single. Follow back interesting people. Start liking their. I mean, this is amazing. I love the detail. Start liking their posts slowly so you won't appear like a stalker. Like your crush's selfies. Now, here's what I did when I was big on Instagram and really liked to kind of flirt on Instagram. I didn't like your post slowly. I was gonna hit like 10 posts in a row, so you knew. No, maybe not 10, like 3 or 4. You knew I was attracted to you, right? And that that was cool, or that I liked your content. So I don't know. Post to Instagram stories, start commenting on their posts, post romantic quotes about love, start searching for others with similar hashtags and start following them. That's not bad. Reply to comments, become a Tinstagrammer, and start direct messaging. This is where it starts to get terrible. Post videos, swap digits so you can meet IRL in real life. I mean, the 14 steps to find your date. So I see some stuff from Elena and some stuff from Diamonds and Diesel. Let me read Elena first. Is not better than mine lasagna. I mean, my lasagna is not better than yours. We'll have to see. Diamonds and Diesel says, do you use onions? And then she says, there are guys on TikTok and IG that do that with my content regularly. Well, and that's, I mean, guys think with one brain. We're stupid, honestly. And I try really hard to correct that behavior. I'd like to think that I've gotten rid of my male gaze, at least mostly. I do not use social media to find a date. I'm just not interested in it. If I'm interested in a date, I download a dating app, or I go out and I find somebody in real life. So Diamonds and Diesel, do I use onions in my lasagna? I use onions in my meat sometimes, and so an onion or two might find its way into my lasagna. But here's the thing about an Italian that you don't really understand, and to Elena as well. We're gonna fight about this. I can make a lasagna in an infinite amount of ways because we don't have recipes, us Italians, right? We don't follow recipes. It's what's in the fridge, what's at the store, and what we're feeling that day. And so that's kind of how my lasagna goes. Make the sauce. I mean, of course, I'm going to put onions in the sauce. So there's onions every time, actually, right? There could be onions in my meat. So for sure, there's going to be some basil. There's going to be some salt, some sugar. It's going to be some ricotta cheese, some mozzarella. It's going to be a lot of stuff. And like I said, my lasagna is going to trump my social media followers. Diamonds and Diesel. There are guys on TikTok and IG that do that with my content regularly. They like your content. They do the stuff. We talk a lot about this. And here's the thing. I never know if somebody's trying to CC says too much light. Thank you for that. Hopefully I toned it down. I feel like when people do that to my content, it really degrades me as somebody who's got some stuff to say. You know what I mean? It's really hard to be myself and to be the person that I want to be when people are just liking me because I look pretty, and I don't even think I look that pretty. So hold on one quick. We got a couple of messages here, and I want to make sure that I answer everybody properly. So Elena said, I lived in Italy and learned from scratch there. Okay, I mean you might have a better lasagna than I do if you actually learned in Italy. I mean, I learned from my Italian grandmother, but I was probably 10 years old when I learned how to make my lasagna. And then Jen says, it's the spirit of your ancestor kind of cooking. I can appreciate that. And then she also says, I'm so pretty, which you're pretty. You're pretty. I want to put sprinkles on you and have you with hot fudge. Okay. So Diamond and Diesel says, I also don't answer my DMs because I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression. I think that's fair. I try to answer my DMs as often as I can. And here's the issue with answering my DMs is I did a TikTok on this recently. I'm a people addict. I love talking to people. When I'm trying to unwind and I'm actually trying to recharge, to me, I'm so extroverted that it's like Superman going into the sun. You know how Superman has to go into the sun to get his energy? For me, I get my energy from people. So if I'm having a rough day, I go to my people. Or I go to someone new because someone new's in my DMs and they say something interesting and provocative and I talk to them, right? And it's something that I truly am struggling with and I battle with that. But it also gives people the wrong impression, to your point, Diamonds and Diesel, because I don't want to give people the wrong impression because I'm talking to them and being nice, right? I'm very happy where I'm at right now. I'm not on dating sites at the moment. My dance card's pretty full. I'm good. But it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy a good conversation, right? In fact, funny, I'll get to your comments in a second. I literally had someone message me today. They were promoting their spicy accounting site. And she said, if you're not interested in buying my spicy accounting site, block me. And I said, okay, well, I don't block anybody, but I'll unfriend you. I appreciate the hustle, do your thing, blah, blah, blah. But the funny thing is I was in the middle of selling my couch on Marketplace. And her message said, if you join today, you get these types of pics of my butt and these types of pics of my whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this still for the couch? So anyway, so we get into this conversation, right? Hey, Canadian Becks. So we get into this conversation. And I said, look, it's not really my thing. I'm also demisexual, so I really like to get to know people, and I'm pretty okay. I'm okay with myself, and I'm taken, and I'm fine. And did you say her liver? No, I didn't say her liver. So anyway, so we got to talking, and she's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. I was just trying to promote my social media, my app, my accounting site. And I said, that's cool. I said, don't worry about it. Do your hustle, girl. I said, if you need to, I already removed myself as a friend, so it's fine. But I don't block people. It's just a trigger for me. And we wound up striking up a conversation. We talked about, she was wondering what ethical non-monogamy was. She was wondering what, because I talked to her about that I do some of these shows, and I talked about how we do some on BDSM, and she was wondering about those things. And we had a great, fruitful conversation, and it was great. I was at the Dollar Tree getting some command strips to hang an electrical cord. So Canadian Beck says, thanks or hey if they go weird. I say thanks or hey if they go weird. I just reply no thanks. I appreciate that. Jen Crawford says both are true, and I appreciate that. So here's my beef with using social media as a dating site, right? My main problem is when you log into a dating site, okay, both parties are consenting to talk about dating, right? To consider going on a date. Specifically on the sites that you're matching with someone, both folks are going to match with each other before they talk. Now, things are going to happen. You're going to get sent a D-pic. It's not going to be pretty. All these other things are going to happen. But at the very least, at the bare minimum, you have consented to talking about dating, right? You're not getting that mutual consent on a social media app. So Diamonds and Dallas and Canadian Bex. Canadian Bex says, because same, I need to connect emotionally and intellectually, not just, oh yeah, let's make out. Diamonds and Diesel, that's one thing that I love. Can we just have a genuine conversation without it leading to anything? 1,000%, right out the gate. Yeah, and I do that as well, right? So I love having conversations with folks. It's one of my favorite things to do. And every day I'll find someone, that's cool, or maybe every week, right? Or every month I find someone cool that I can talk to. In fact, Diamonds and Diesel, we went out for sushi maybe a year ago, we met on TikTok, right? And it wasn't a date. We just hung out and we had a great time. In fact, I specifically, not to embarrass you, before we went out that night, I said, "Is this a date?" And you were like, "No, it's not a date. I just want to be your friend." And I was like, "Okay, cool. That makes me, takes the pressure off." And I think you bought dinner, actually. So anytime you want to do that again, that was great. Canadian Beck says, "I have made some amazing friends on this app, though, and most started in DMs." Absolutely. Diamonds in Dallas says, "That's what I liked so much about hanging out with you, was that we got to enjoy our company and our time." And I totally appreciated that, 1000%. And I do with men as well. I mean, I'm as straight as they come. I'm cis hetero, but I talk to dudes all the time online. There are guys that I love their content, and I'll just shoot them a message and be like, "I see you, King. Like, just wanted to drop a message." Now, men tend to not. If you're a straight man, you tend to not like get into that. You like. We don't bond that much. You know what I mean? Straight men with two straight men in the room, we just don't talk as much. But we try. We really try. It's a great place to connect. The problem, in my opinion, is that you're connecting in a way that's not consenting with both parties, right? Cece, are we taking a break because we're at the 20-minute time? I just want to make sure that we're not taking a break, but I think we're probably not, because she would have probably messaged me and said that we are. We can. Okay, let's take a break. But before we do that, I want to shout out to TikTok. You've been on for about 20 minutes, which is a little bit longer than I normally go. We're going to switch it over to Instagram in just a moment. But you can come onto my Instagram and go on to the live there, or you can go right to my story, and it's right on my story. You follow the link. Go this way. You can go on YouTube and comment there, and we can produce it properly, and you can check out the link. Now, Diamonds and Diesel says, "If I was able to get to your area more often, you would have opted for us to date." Oh my goodness! Wow. I'm flattered. I would have gone on a date. I would have gone on more dates with you too. I appreciate that. Man, I'm blushing. We're not supposed to be using TikTok as a dating app, Diamonds and Diesel. Anyway, you are watching WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. You are watching The Barbershop. We are talking about TikTok. Is TikTok a dating app? The answer is no. We're going to talk about why. This is the Going Bold Wednesday. Stay tuned. We have a quick commercial break. We're going to be on Instagram, so we'll find you there. Talk to you soon. And we're back. Welcome back to the Barbershop. Hope we get back on live Instagram. A couple of people were on there for a second. We just had to end it really quick and restart it. Welcome to the Barbershop. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I am your host of the Barbershop, Dr. Christopher Salute. You are watching Going Bold Wednesdays and the Going Bold Network. And we are talking tonight at the Barbershop about TikTok and how TikTok is simply not a dating site. So why are we talking about this? Just to give you a brief understanding of what happened in the first part of the show, just kind of talked about my experiences, and I'm sure you have similar experiences if you are on social media, right? Sophie says, "I thought I got blocked." No, I didn't block you. I'll be honest with you. I did one of these, and I didn't want that on the live when I posted it. I scratched my nose, and it looked disgusting. So I didn't want it on there. So I did it and restarted it. Why do I like this? So what is your YouTube? I know that we're moving there. So the YouTube is actually, if you go right to my Instagram story, it's on there. Just scroll through the Instagram story and you'll see one of the links there. And it's right on there. So you can go on YouTube and then you can comment, and we'll post your comments as well instead of reading it on Instagram. But so I'm sure if you've had some experiences online, right? Everyone has been hit on social media, right? In fact, I'll tell you something funny. A good friend of mine who watches the show pretty regularly, Cece, I don't know if you know this, but one of our viewers messaged her or commented to her and said, "You're so beautiful. I loved what you had to say on the show," and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, "I'm just watching your show." You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't even get a break here. So kind of interesting to see that. But we just went through all the 14 ways to get some digits on Instagram, which I thought was abundantly hilarious. A couple of other websites that they have here, 9 social media sites to snag yourself a date. But here's the thing. They're not all social media sites. So the first one is Tinder, which isn't really a social media site. Facebook is. Then they go to Zeus, which I think is a dating site. Then Twitter, which is interesting. OkCupid, Grindr, MySpace is actually a social media site. A lot of these are social media sites. I've heard people meet in the strangest of places. I've heard people meet on Facebook. I've heard them meet on Twitter. I've heard them meet on Reddit. I've heard them meet on, what's like a role play, an RPG game, But here's the thing. There's nothing, I'm not stopping you. First of all, I'm not doing anything, right? I'm not trying to stop you or influence you or tell you that you are not to meet somebody on a social media site. What I'm telling you is that is not the purpose for it. There's nothing wrong with going on Reddit and you're following something and it's of interest to you, and somebody says something that interests you and you talk to them about it, and that transforms into a beautiful relationship. We love that, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that more important than finding a date on social media is that you should be using social media to create your story and to tell your story. And there's so much more to you, first of all, than finding a date, right? And I don't think that we think about that. There are so many folks who get more active on social media when they become single and they want to find a date. And I think to myself, and I was probably a perpetrator of this as well. And I think to myself, there's so much more to me than my singleness. There's so much more to me than who I am to date. I have so much to share, so much content I can share, that dating, that talking about how I'm single is boring, and quite frankly, it doesn't really capture the essence of me. Now, you may not be a content creator, but maybe instead of looking for a date, you can just look for content that interests you. I mean, there's so much content out there. I mean, I'm getting rid of this desk, right? And I Googled today how to turn the desk drawers into flower planters. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much to do on social media, versus trying to find a date. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the other site that I want to bring up is 6 ways of using Facebook to get and keep a date. And before I do that, I want to read Queen of Diamonds' comment. Correct. You're free to do as you wish, but it's not the primary use like a dating site is. And she puts dating in big capital letters, which we love. Okay. So let's say 6 ways of using Facebook to get and keep a date. So there's a bunch of different reasons that you should use Facebook, it says. Researchers noted 4 main benefits of using Facebook to initiate and develop a romantic relationship. Number 1, reduces the risk of rejection because you have shared interests and there's less anxiety provoking. Manages to get to know the get to know you process. Provides personal information about partners, helps increase certainty and commitment. I actually don't disagree with that, but I think what I would say is, instead of using Facebook to get and keep a date, finding someone you have mutual interest with on social media is probably a better way to do it, but it doesn't need to be its sole purpose. Like if you're going to find somebody on social media to date, why not just let it happen organically? The last person I actually dated, we knew each other for years and years. And we were talking on social media one day, but we knew each other, you know what I mean? And we were like, hey, we should go on a date. So it happens, right? And the person I'm currently dating, I literally met on TikTok. So it happens, but it wasn't the sole purpose, right? So here are the the ways to get and keep a date that they say on Facebook. Take some time to see, I love this. Like it really seems predatory. Take some time to scout the friends list of your current contacts and people you may know sections of Facebook. I'm already discrediting this entire article. It's on psychologytoday.com, which is actually a pretty decent website. Do not do that. Do not do that. I didn't understand that was the purpose of this article. I thought it was how to like organically find somebody to date on social media. But let's see. We're only on step 1. Let's go into the other 5 steps. When you make contact with potential partners, linking up on Facebook can be a helpful way to stay connected. Yeah. After getting connected, make use of the various communication tools on Facebook. Once you've made Facebook friends, take the opportunity to look in their profile in some detail. Remember, new Facebook friends will be evaluating you too. And then shared friends and interactions online help to create a sense of commitment as well. So I'm not going to completely discount this entire article, but it's unreliable considering the fact that they just told you to go scout your friends of friends and try to find a date. But I will say the one thing about this article that I like is that it says getting to know people on a personal level is important. And I think that's important. So let's just do that, right? Let's get to know people on a personal level. Queen of Diamonds, Facebook now has their own dating link, which is comparable to something like Plenty of Fish or Tinder. Yeah, and I've used the dating app on Facebook, and it's actually a pretty good app. I didn't really run out of swipes. Number one, you got to know a lot about the person. Also, there were mutual friends, so like I could be like, hey, are you friends with so and so because we matched on social media. Actually, that saved me from a date one time. I matched with somebody. Okay. So this match with somebody on Facebook, deleted the app, wasn't interested in linking up. A month or 2 later, they found me on Facebook and said, we had some mutual friends, wanted to link up with you. I said, okay, and they were pretty, so it was whatever. And then the mutual friend that we had messaged me, was like, hey, how well do you know so-and-so? And I was like, not that well. I mean, they just asked me on a date, whatever. And they were like, get out now. The last time they interacted, there was some sort of plot to like destroy her ex-boyfriend in a public place. It was really bad. So I had to like slowly kind of back out of the trenches and, just be like, hey, sorry. And they messaged me and they were like, hey, I noticed you unfriended me. And I was like, yeah, we don't really talk, and figured it's probably a good idea. So got out of that one. Queen of Diamonds says Facebook now. Oh, we already talked about that. So yeah, I mean, there are other places that we can go on dating apps other than just using social media. Megan says, how do we determine the difference between happening to date someone from social media and using social media on a dating app? I freaking love that question, and here's what we're gonna do. If you're watching on Instagram, I'm gonna have to let you go, but come on to the session so you can comment on YouTube. Okay, it's right on my story. All right, and we'll see you soon. We'll answer that question as we get back. Bye. So let me just share this on social media, and then we will answer that question for you, Megan, because I think that there needs to be a distinction. Oh my God, if I could spell TikTok, it's like got 3 letters. How is it not spelling properly? TikTok is not a dating app. Wonderful. Okay, let's post that. We're going to invite a collaborator. The Men's Bold Network on Instagram. If you don't follow us, please do follow us there. And done. We're going to add it to the barbershop series. We have now added, so that 26 episodes to the barbershop series, which is pretty fantastic. So Megan, your question is a great one. How do we determine the difference between happening to date someone from social media and using social media as a dating app? And I think the simplest answer is intention, but it gets a little bit more complex than that. So let's dive in. The simplest answer is intention. Are you logging into social media to get a date? Are you posting content about being single, about men and women, and sexual intimacy or intimacy in general, or dating or that kind of stuff? That's number one. Number two, how long did you, in my opinion, how long did you converse with someone before you thought about them romantically, or before you had, an inkling that you might date somebody, right? I think that's important to note. And then I think number three is, I would imagine, we can easily figure this out with what kind of content you're putting out there. So if your profile says single with your city and, these are my kinks or whatever, you know what I mean? You're clearly looking for a date, right? And if the content you put out mimics that, then you're clearly looking for a date. Versus if you have more content and more profile stuff about, just stuff about you, and your content is more about your life and the things that you might be an expert on, and you happen upon someone who has similar interests, it's a very different feel. So the simplest answer is it's in your intention, but the more complex answer is I think you can tell with someone pretty quickly. And I've been, even as recently as a couple of months ago, stupid me, because I was having a bad day. I even hit on somebody online, and they called me out on it too. And they were like, "Dude, it was stupid." And I was like, "Yeah, it was pretty stupid." We unfollowed each other because ruined that experience. And I think that you can really tell by the DMs that somebody's sending by the content that they're putting out, right? If you're sending DMs and they're flirty off the bat, you're probably looking to date, right? If you're messaging somebody because you think they have great content and something builds more slowly, right? You comment on them first and these types of things, I think it's safe to say that you're not really looking to date. But if something were to happen where you meet a similar person, then I think that's fair, right? But you can also tell the way people comment as well, right? It's a very kind of a very simple process. So I think it comes down to 1, your intention, 2, the type of content that you're using and putting out, and then 3, I think the time that it takes to find the person. If you meet somebody online and you start dating them within 2 weeks, you had the intention of finding a date online. If you meet somebody in 3 years from now, you start dating, then you probably didn't have the intention. Either that or you're playing the slow game, my friend. So Jen Crawford, if we could put this comment up, says, do men have the same ridiculous messages from women when it comes to social media apps? Like if you post about fishing gear and fishing spots all the time, hypothetically, do men get thirsty women in their DMs? Kim, I'm so sorry. If we could put this up, Cece, that would be great, because I really want everyone to see this comment. I'm going to read this again. Do men have the same ridiculous messages from women when it comes to social media apps? Like if you post about fishing gear or fishing spots all the time, hypothetically, do men get thirsty women in their DMs? I posted about this on TikTok recently, because I do. And then Raina says, you can certainly tell the difference between a flirting comment and just a sincere comment. Yeah, absolutely. And flirting can be sincere as well, right? But it depends on how well you know somebody. So like Raina, if I sent you a flirty DM, we've known each other, or a flirty comment, we've known each other for years. I would like to think you would think, a funny thing or whatever, right? That I genuinely mean what I'm saying versus, I'm trying to, show you my thirst, right? So here's the answer. And Raina actually says, yes, they do. I see it on my male friends' TikToks all the time. So I just made a TikTok about this recently. Here's what you need to remember, right? I firmly believe that while men do see it, we don't fully appreciate and understand the amount of DMs and messages and flirts that y'all get, right? Try this, right? Post something solemn, and I don't know, maybe it's a bad idea. Let me think through this. Post something about like losing a loved one, make up a cousin, and post a picture where you look attractive and the caption says, I lost my cousin or my best friend, or I just failed, maybe not as big of it, I just failed my paper, or I just found out I'm not going to graduate school on time. Something like that. I guarantee you will get at least 3 comments that have heart emojis on them saying that you look attractive, because men are not reading the comments. They're looking at your picture, right? And that is, I think, the major difference is that women get a lot of those comments every single day, all the time. Check your spam DMs, check all your DMs. Raina says, my audience is 78% male, and when I look at their content, there's a lot of thirsty women. Yes, Raina, I will agree with that. And I will say this though. And let me get to that in a second, Jen. I will say this. You're right in that there's a lot of thirsty women on TikTok. That is what led me to this point, because I get a lot of DMs, content, comments, all the stuff, people really saying that my content is sexy and attractive and I'm handsome and all these things. And I agree with you. Men do get a lot. I think I'm going to push back a little bit that if you use social media in its entirety, women get a lot more, because Instagram, you get a lot of thirsty men on Instagram. I think Facebook, you get a lot more men adding random women in their DMs, calling them, blah, 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 blah. I could be wrong. I think TikTok may be the one where men have a little bit of a footing where it's closer to equal, but still not equal. But I think if you were to accumulate all of social media, I think you'd find more women, women get it more. But I get the same thing. I mean, I'll post content about life coaching, about, whatever, about my favorite club soda. And all of a sudden it's like, not only is it your favorite club soda, but you're so handsome. I mean, I've had people, even when I call them out, they're like, well, come be my professor. And I'm like, shut up, And we talked about this on TikTok the other day. It was like, I even had people book my Airbnb. I had somebody find my Airbnb because they saw pictures of my house on Instagram and TikTok and booked my Airbnb. And then messaged me, was like, I booked your Airbnb. I can't wait to spend some time with you. And then sent me some like flirty messages. And let me tell you, this was not one time. This happened several times to where I had to cancel their Airbnbs and be like, that's inappropriate, and then block them. So Jen says, I can't post a single thing without a man asking me if I'm single. So that's one thing. I think honestly, women do get it more. I could be talking about underwater basket weaving, and then people sliding into your DMs like, hey shorty, what that thing do? And yeah, I mean, we've all done it. We've all been there. I'm ashamed to say that I've been there as well. And I will tell you that, it's also, here's the thing, right? And I say this with the utmost respect to people who do this on social media. It's not a good look. It doesn't look good. When you put out, I have so many folks that I coach, so many folks that I'm friends with, and they put out, you could tell when they are having a rough time because they're putting out a lot of sexy content. In fact, my very, very good friend used to call me out. She used to say, you having a rough day? I was like, why? And she was like, because the content you're putting out is kind of thirsty. You're looking for it. You're looking for some attention. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I am. And I need to stop that. Right. And, the problem is that we put out this content and I'm not victim blaming at all, right? People in your DMs sending you nasty stuff is them, but we put out content because we want that some kind of attention. We feel a certain way about ourselves, and it's a terrible look. Or we're under somebody's comments getting their attention. It's not a good look. Look, if you've got one person, let's say it's Jen and I. Jen and I have been friends for a long time, right? So, let's say Jen and I are really flirting heavy on social media, right? And it's just Jen and I, right? Maybe there's one or two more people I flirt with because, it's 2022 and we flirt a lot, right? And I put some social media, and I'll answer that in a little bit, Raina. Thank you so much. If I flirt with Jen's comments and in her DMs, not terrible, right? Now, if Jen sees me doing that to a dozen other people, what is Jen to think? And what are those dozen other people to think? And what am I to think? And what are my friends to think as they see me all around hoeing on Instagram, flirting my face off, right? It's not a good look. And then it's almost like when you put that content out, like there's so many TikToks out there that are like, I just wish a man would come and sit on my face, or whatever y'all saying. So any man, any woman, just come do it. You know what I mean? To me, that's such a thirsty way to think about yourself. It's just not a good thing. And when we talk about, one of the things that I talk about on TikTok is fetishization. And one of the TikToks I haven't made yet, that it's up here, I need to make it. The way you can tell a man is fetishizing. Simple. Okay? When he talks about one woman versus all women. So if I were to say, man, my partner is so beautiful, and even if I listed her, even if I went the most fetishy, her tummy is so sexy, her thighs, her whatever, that's my partner. And maybe there's some fetishization in that language, but it's my partner who I am serving and getting a bit kinky with. But when I say, man, big girls are so beautiful because they got the bellies and they got the thighs and they got the feet and all this stuff, bro, which woman are you referencing? All women? Just all women? You're fetishizing, right? And you're just going to take any woman. What does that say about you, king? Right? You're just, anybody's your queen, right? It's the same way, with the magazines that I run, for example. I log into social media to clean things out sometimes, and I get a message. It's like, you're so sexy. Sir, we posted 13 women that day from our magazine. Which one did you just take? Any of them? Right? So anyway, So Raina says, yes, women get them more unless you're a seriously attractive man, muscles, tattoos, face symmetry, etc. I don't have any muscles, but I get some. Sheesh. And then Jen Crawford says, go back to your home on Whore Island, Christopher. Thank you very much. This concludes our broadcast day. That was wonderful. So the bottom line is, here's the answer. Okay, the answer is simple. Social media is not for dating. Social media is for social media. It's for being social. It's for finding connections. It's for exploring yourself, sending out a message. Now, here's to Megan's point. How do you know? What's the difference, right? If you happen to come across someone that you want to be romantic with, take your time with it then, right? Because that's not the reason you're on. If you wanted to meet that person on a dating app, you'd meet them on a dating app, right? The bottom line is we don't need to be putting our stuff out there on social media. There's also what we didn't get to, but the show's going to wrap up. There's a lot of statistics about how we put so much stuff about ourselves personally on social media, and it's really detrimental to our current and new relationships. If you're in a relationship with me and you see my past TikToks where me begging for any woman to come sit on me, what does that say about me? What you want to be any woman? No, right? Oh, I'm so glad I'm any woman to this guy. It's not attractive, right? That's why when somebody's in my DMs, and it happens all the time, right? If somebody's in my DMs saying that I'm attractive and whatnot, I mean, it's very rare that I answer anyway, but let's say they do it. And then I go on their content and I see that they're just desperately looking for any man to give them attention. I don't want to be any man, right? How many other people are you DMing, right? And what happens when any other man comes? It's just not what I want. And let me explain. I'm not demonizing women or villainizing women in any way and playing the martyr. I started this conversation by saying men do this 1,000 times more than women. This is my personal experience, so I'm using that, right? So, what we have learned tonight, and I think what's important to note is that social media can be great. Social media can keep you connected. Sure, you can find a romantic partner on social media. However, social media is not a dating app. A dating app is not social media. Jesse Villagomez. I'm guilty of encouraging a friend to make a thirst video because she ran with it and her personality completely changed. She started meeting with men that would slide into her DMs. She wants to just be with someone because reality is she does not like being alone. And I see that all the time. Look, you want to make a thirsty video because you want to make a thirsty video? 100% do it. The amount of people who are going to give you attention off that thirsty video, too much attention and the wrong kind of attention, and it gives you a false, and I want to say this the wrong way, please do not misread this. It gives you a false sense of confidence, not because you're not a wonderful person. These people in your DMs, men, women, whoever, they are not trying to take you home and marry you or be your sole partner. They are trying to get into your whatever pants or skirt or whatever you are wearing. And so you often will take that and run with it, and it changes your personality, and you realize very quickly that that's not what these people want. Then when you go back to get what it is that you want, which is a partner or self-respect or your own, confidence and whatever, it's not going to be there because you just relied on a dozen people that you were sleeping with to give you that, right? So let's take the rest of these comments, then we got to close out real quick. Raina says, precisely, I don't want to be any woman. I want to be the woman. And if I know that you can keep us separate from that, it means so much more, and our connection is more solid if I'm sharing you with your audience than if I'm sharing you with your audience. Okay, that makes sense. Jen says they just want your blank. And then Jesse Villagoman says she's a beautiful woman, but sadly she is lacking self-worth. And I think we all find that, and that's why we turn to social media to get the likes and the follows and all the junk that we get. But anyway, this is The Barbershop. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. I think we had a really spirited conversation today. I loved it. I love the comments, and doesn't mean you need to agree with me when you're on the show. You can disagree, and humbly you're wrong, but we can still talk about it. I'm kidding. You are watching The Barbershop. This is Dr. Christopher Salute. This is WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio on the Going Bold Network, Going Bold Wednesdays. What we learned tonight was social media is not a dating app, and that is The Barbershop for the evening. Have a wonderful evening. Cut.